revolving door of chronic alcoholism costs San Diego County taxpayers $20 million annually, a staggering number. For a small number of individuals, repeat offenders, the cost of public intoxication is enormous, both in dollars and in its impact to the community.
What got me motivated for this program was actually having been in the ER for over 25 years, that I just saw this broken record, repeating issue of individuals who are coming in chronically intoxicated into my hospital. And I got to the point, particularly when I became the city's medical director, that I felt I had to do something about it, that it was something that actually was starting to drive me away from medicine because I couldn't take it anymore, the recidivism of a certain population and the broken system.
Basically from step one, the individuals on the street, drunk, they're out there every day. An officer will usually receive a radio call of a person drunk. They contact him and they arrest him, take him to the Detox Center, or once they've been to the Detox Center 5 times in 30 days, they're now a chronic, a SIP participant. The officer will then take him to jail, book him into jail as a chronic offender, a SIP person. And they stay in jail, they go to arraignment, or they enter a plea. I worked with that process of making sure the arrest report makes it to the city attorneys on time, that the individuals, once he's entered a plea, is assessed for recovery into a treatment program. And then if they're accepted into the treatment program, my role is to go pick them up from jail and take them to that program.
John and I were partners. I was a new supervisor to Western Division in San Diego Police Department. And he was on my squad, and so we had a big problem in the Hillcrest area with chronic alcoholics getting arrested every day, and every day we would take them to detox. And so the San Diego Police Department is kind of a problem-solving department, working with partnerships with other agencies and with other city agencies in the community. So John came up to me and said, hey, you know, there's got to be a better way to do this. We're taking the same people to jail sometimes twice a day. And I was like, well, what's your plan? And his plan was to develop a program where we would take them to jail and then divert them from custody time into treatment. But if they elect treatment, then we send somebody in from mental health systems to come in and do an assessment on that client. And all they're assessing is the client's willingness to go to a treatment program.
Our clients are mostly males, 40 to 50 years old, who have been homeless and on the streets for anywhere from 10 to 15 years. It's surprising, though. A lot of our clients have some college education. When we looked at the educational strata of our clients, we found that these guys are generally pretty well educated and came from a fairly decent background. It was only through a series of events and a lack of coping skills, and you could see this kind of thing play out where they went from pretty stable life and then were met with some difficulties, and then inch by inch and problem by problem they began to lose control and stability of their life, ultimately ending up homeless. And of course then their major coping skill is alcohol.
This is a grouping of files that is pretty typical of a SIP offender who may become a participant in the program. There are 5 files here, and this area of our file we talk about kind of the criminal history of an offender, and on this file in particular, and again is very typical, is there's even more on the back. So we see a progression of custody, and at every level of that custody, we offer them SIP instead.
My typical SIP client, everybody calls them my peeps, because they're the guys that are the worst of the worst. They're 15, 20 years on the street. They're out there every day drinking. They're the people that nobody knows what to do with, the hardest people to work with. Those are my SIP clients. Those are the people, those are the reason I do what I do.
We saw many years ago is the same people consistently being arrested for being under the influence, taken down because of a lot of medical problems to the hospital, a huge cost and a constant return, without any resolution and no real effort to try to correct the problem. I think they were slipping through the cracks because the city and the county and the state didn't work well together. And because we have some very innovative officers here, very compassionate officers, they look for a solution. And the solution is the Serial Inebriate Program. It's working with the courts, with social services, with mental health in a collaborative effort to provide the first real opportunity to have some success and get them out of that cycle and away from alcoholism.
The Health and Human Service Agency is responsible for the health care and social services in the County of San Diego, of which Alcohol and Drug Services is a part of. And it's the Department of Alcohol and Drug Services that funds the SIP program.
This is the most rewarding thing I've ever done. Probably the most rewarding thing I'll ever do in my life. I never thought in a million years I'd be doing this as a police officer when I signed up. If you would have told me I'd be dealing with chronic, homeless alcoholics, I would never have believed you. But it's the most rewarding thing when you see a person who has been on the street for 15, 20 years get their life back and start feeling good about themselves and develop relationships again and get a job. You know, there's no money in the world that you could pay that's worth that. It's just amazing.
Boy, if I was walking down the street and yanking the chain of my dog's collar, someone would come along and tell me that that's not okay and not to kick that dog or hit that dog. But we'll step over a homeless man on the street because it's uncomfortable for us to realize that this person is unclean and dirty and mentally ill. That this is someone's family member, that this man used to go to my church, and that this is a human being. I know that Clarence Darrow once said, "Far be it from me to be the first person to say that the single human life is not worth saving." And I believe that. I believe that we all have value. And so once the client starts to believe that too, and that light comes on and they start to share with you their hopes, dreams, and aspirations, and then have the belief that they could actually do that, that's a pretty good day for us.
If I can get sober and clean and have a good life, anybody can.
I just hope that maybe something I say may help someone. And that's all.
Working with other health and human service agencies, the judicial system, as well as the police and sheriff's departments, SIP is working. Thank you, San Diego County, for supporting our work and continuing the effort to make our community a healthy one for all of our residents.